Shavua Tov Bet Torah. I hope everybody's doing well. Today we venture into Perek Daled, Mishnayot Yud Bet and Yud Gimel in Pirke Abot as we continue our study, making our way from Pesach to Shavuot. For those who heard my parasha class last week, from liberty to freedom. Mishnah Yud Bet begins, or writes, Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua Omer, Hi kavod talmidach chaviv alecha keshelach, uchvod chaverach kemora rabach, umora rabach kemora shamayim. Essentially, the Mishnah is talking about the concept of respect, particularly in the educational process. Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua says, the respect of your student should be as important to you as your own respect. And I will tell you, in my experience in education, this may be one of the most important principles to remember as an educator. To respect your students for who they are, from where they come from, for their life context, for everything that they have going on in their lives. And whatever you expect of them, you need to expect of yourself. You can't ask a student to meet a deadline and then not meet a deadline. You can't ask a student to come to class prepared and not come to class prepared yourself. Students should be respected and expect from them the same that you would expect from yourself, and in that they can relate to you better. They will relate to you better because they see that you truly have respect for them and have their best interest in mind, and you will be able to get much more out of them than doing otherwise. And the respect of your friend should be like the respect of your rabbi. When interacting with peers, when interacting with colleagues, they should be treated with a certain level of respect. You should see them as someone who has something to teach you, something to give you. As we know, the famous Mishnah, who is wise? Somebody who learns from everybody. If I can see a friend, a colleague, another person as someone who can teach me something, then I will respect them as they are my teacher, as they are my rabbi, as they are my educator. And the respect, the fear, the awe of your teacher, of your rabbi, should be like the awe of Shamayim. And in fact, the Mifashim bring down that Yehoshua treated Moshe in that respect. When Eldad and Medad were prophesying and speaking ill of him, he said, Moshe Klaem, stop them. Because he read it as when they were insulting Moshe, they were actually insulting Borei Olam. Teacher is someone who gives you life in a certain respect. Someone who gives you education, someone who gives you wisdom, and in that, they should be treated with a certain level of respect, so much so on the level that they should be seen as a messenger of Borei Olam, as they do Borei Olam's work, holy work. And I think at this point in time, we can all recognize and acknowledge and appreciate the work that teachers and educators do. It is holy work, and inasmuch they should be seen as the messengers, the ambassadors of Borei Olam, and treated with that level of respect, as though they are, in fact, Borei Olam's representatives. The next Mishnah is a famous one. It opens Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Heve Zahir b'Talmud, Sheshigegat Talmud Orla Zadon. Someone has to be very careful with his limud, because making a mistake, even though it's a mistake, will be counted as it was done on purpose. And this can really be understood in two ways. Number one, as someone who is learning, make sure you're learning appropriately and accordingly, and you understand what it is that's going on, because then when you want to put into practice what you've learned, if you don't fully understand it, grasp it, and really have dug into the concept, then it can be practiced incorrectly. And while it may be an accident, because you lacked in delving in, it will be considered as though it was done on purpose. On a higher level, it is taking to test the educators. We just came off of a Mishnah talking about the educator, the rabbi, the person who's giving over information. If you are going to be the one who is going to be an authority, you must be 100% sure. There's no margin for error. If you're giving over information to lead the people, it has to be done with accuracy. Any mistake that you make is giving over misinformation to somebody else, and they practice incorrectly, and that comes back to you, and you are held accountable as though you had done it on purpose, because you have a responsibility to learn properly, to act properly, and then to inform with accuracy. The Mishnah ends with the famous idea. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Shelosha Ketarim Hem. Rabbi Shimon says there are 3 crowns in Judaism. Keter Torah, the crown of Torah. V'keter Kehuna, the crown of the priesthood. V'keter Malchut, and the crown of the kingship. V'keter Shem Tov, Orleh al Gabehen. But the crown of reputation, of a good name, is more important than all of them. You can have all the money in the world, all the stature in the world, all the power in the world. But if you do not have the right reputation, then nobody wants to associate themselves with you. So your money doesn't mean anything because nobody wants to do business with you. Your stature doesn't mean anything because nobody cares what you have to say. Power doesn't help because no one is going to subject themselves to your power because they don't believe in who you are as a human being. There's a famous midrash that writes that this idea can actually be seen in the Mishkan. We know that the vessels in the Mishkan all had a zer zahav, a crown, a gold crown, so to speak, going around them. The Shulchan, the Aron, and the Mizbeach HaKtoret all had that. The Aron would be the Keter Torah, right? The Aron was symbolic of Torah, and the crown going around the Aron would be the Keter Torah. The Mizbeach HaKtoret, which only the Kohen was allowed to offer incense on, also had the crown going around it. That would be the Keter Kehuna, the crown of the priesthood. Only the Kohen was allowed to use that Mizbeach. And the Keter and the Shulchan also had a zer sahava going around it, and that would be Keter Malchut, bread, livelihood, money, wealth, power, which symbolized by the Shulchan. Where is the Keter Shem Tov? So the Midrash writes that the Bria Hatichon, the central pole that went through the wall of the Mishkan, from one end to the other, essentially keeping the Mishkan standing on either side, that wood came from the tent of Avraham Avinu, which of course is a midrash and it needs to be understood as such. Essentially it means that the Bria Hatichon kept the Mishkan standing. That was the Keter Shem Tov. If there was one man in history who had a reputation that preceded him, who everybody knew his name, and it was synonymous with chesed, it was synonymous with good things, it was synonymous with someone who was a good character, a refined human being, it was Avraham Avinu. The wood for the Bria Hatichon came from his tent, meaning Keter Shem Tov keeps the whole building standing. Inside were all the vessels that stood for the Keter Torah and the Keter Kehuna and the Keter Malchut, and those were all wonderful things. But without Keter Shem Tov, without a good name, the entire building comes crashing down. There is nothing more important than Shem Tov. Tov Shem, Mishem and Tov, V'yom HaMavet, Miyom Yivalado. The most important asset that a person can have is their name. Let it be synonymous with good things. Let it be synonymous with chesed. Let it be synonymous with a refined character. And then you can build upon that with all of the other things, and in that, find true success. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and Shavua Tov.